All right, guys, welcome to the garden update for the month of February. We're going to go ahead and get started at the herb bed. So right here in the corner, we have our chocolate mint. It does look like it died back a lot, but what's cool is that the root system has actually grown throughout the dirt underneath. And if I pull back some of this, I believe nasturtium or geranium, you can see all of the chocolate mint that is starting to pop up all the way even through the back side, if I can show you that. So there's a ton of chocolate mint that is pretty much taking over all the understory of this side of the bed. So we'll use that for chocolates or something. But moving on, we have rosemary. You can see there's some nice sprigs. This stuff smells really good and produces a lot of oil. And it's actually pretty nice once you see the flowers. And then next to that, we have the collards. If you guys remember in the last garden video, the last garden update, I showed what this bed looked like when it was just bare soil. You can see that the collards are doing pretty good. There is still a lot of grass seed in here, which is kind of annoying, but everything is growing. So that's what I'm happy about. Our kale right here is also growing. And then our cilantro is just taking off. We do have this single plant right here that's actually doing really good. And then we have a ton of smaller ones that are starting to come out now that it's getting a little bit warmer. The last thing with this herb bed, we're just gonna wait for the kale and the collards to finish growing. And then we do have some basil growing inside. We'll go ahead and replace one of these two with that basil and actually make this a true herb bed so that we can utilize some of that basil in pestos or any kind of dishes just to fancy it up a little bit. But after that, that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna go ahead and move on to inside the greenhouse area. We have our peppers, which if you guys didn't see in the last video, go ahead, click on that card. These are our jalapenos, our bell peppers, all the peppers that we had that we overwintered. You can see where we made our previous cuts, and then you can see the new growth. Unfortunately, we do have a huge issue with slugs, so I will have to figure that out because they're attacking everything. But our peppers are looking good. Our yarrow is also looking good. We can utilize this as a ground cover later. I did save some of the seeds from the seed head that came out. So we can utilize that as a cover crop in the garden, wherever we have bare soil or wherever we have a ton of these clovers, so that we can actually stop having as many of those and actually transition to something that actually looks pretty cool. I actually really love the look of the yarrow, and the flowers can be pretty nice as well. But like I said, we have a ton of those peppers. These are the majority of them, but I will show you the rest in a second. Moving on, we have our apple tree right here. This guy is a little over 3 years old. I still don't think it's going to produce any fruit anytime soon. They're pretty small, but I keep all my apple trees in containers. I just think it's a cool thing to be able to have fruit trees in containers and not on the ground, so you can actually move them around. Moving on to our papaya tree, you can see it's doing okay. It could be doing a heck of a lot better, but we were just trying to get it through the winter, and so far it's doing pretty good. There is a new leaf on this side, if it'll focus. There's a new leaf right here that's starting to come in. What I've been doing is just leaving this milk carton on top of it to let the residual heat just build in there, and then hopefully carry it into the spring and into the summer so that we can get that growing a little bit more. Next to that, we have our huge globe artichoke. This plant I've had for a couple years. It's produced a few artichokes, but this year I'm hoping it produces at least 5 to 6. So we'll see. You can see the previous artichoke growth at the base. So that was when we had a flower head come up, and then we cut it back. And then we have 2 new plants that pretty much grew off of that root system. So you can see all this new growth. It looks really nice. I really like this color of green for some reason. It's almost like a frosted green. But the artichoke is looking healthy, and I'm excited to see what we get into with that one as we go into the summer. Here's another one of our apple trees. Again, not expecting any fruit anytime soon, but I'm growing it in a container, and it's just fun to see how it does as a little project. Moving on to our whole shelving system, I'll just go from top row to bottom row. So right here we have 2 aloe plants. These are 2 little pups that I separated from the mother plant. Another video, if you click on that card, it'll take you to the video where I show you how I actually separate the pups off the mother plant. And then behind that, through all this clover, we actually have some strawberries. So the strawberries are everbearing. It's an everbearing variety, so they're putting out flowers year round, and you don't get as big of strawberries, but you end up getting these little small ones. And this one's almost ready. This needs to ripen at the top a little bit, but that's looking pretty good. Next to that, I do have some carrots that are taking off. They've really enjoyed this like semi-shaded area that is covered, so they're not getting soaked throughout California's rain right now. And I do have a little cilantro in here, but the carrots are doing really well. I'm excited to see if they actually produce some flowers so we can get some more seed. Next to those carrots, I have some more carrots that I started. I believe these are the Danvers variety. So these will catch up eventually to that, but I want to kind of stagger the growth. Moving on to the avocados, these are the ones that I grafted. You can see this one in the back actually is starting to produce some buds. So I'm hoping that both of these grafts were successful. I will show you the other grafts in a second, which I think aren't as successful or are probably gonna die, but I'm excited to see how those go into the spring. Next door to that, we have a couple more trees. We have a bay tree that's coming up right now. You can see that it's actually growing pretty good, and it has a root system that is getting very well established in this little container, so I'll probably have to up pot that soon. We have more bay trees that are coming through. I kind of dug around and I saw that they're actually good. We have some of the California Buckeye that is doing good. I did add a little bit of fertilizer for that guy. And then next door, we have some persimmon seeds, some other ones, and then we have more avocado trees in the back. They're doing okay. Underneath, we have some magnolia tree seeds that are in here. I haven't seen any sign of growth yet, so I'm afraid those might be bad or they might have died. And then next door, here are more of the aloe pups that we took from the mother plant. Next to that, I don't have anything. This is where I'm gonna add some more of my younger seedlings. Down here, we have some more peach trees, and it's exciting because now they're actually starting to put out some growth. If you can see this right here, it actually is starting to put out some leaves. So I'm excited to see how these guys do. I will have to up pot these smaller tree containers to these bigger tree pots that these other ones are in, and then just remove some of the clover. We do have another one of our avocado grafts in here. Let me actually just open this up for you guys so you can see it. And I'm pretty sure this one is doing good because on the side, it also has a little bud that's coming through. So I think we have 3 out of our 5 or 3 out of our 6 grafts successful. And that is the bacon variety. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. Down here, we do have some daylilies that I actually planted. Those guys are coming through, looking really good. In the next container, we have more California Buckeye. You can see some of the soil is starting to pop up. So these guys are growing, they are getting established. The root systems are looking pretty good. So it's gonna be exciting to see how they all turn into this guy soon. I mean, just the color green that this Buckeye is putting out is such a nice green. I really like it. And then going over here, we have more of our avocado trees doing extremely good, extremely well. Next to this one, I'll just show you the younger ones first. This one is another one that we'll probably just graft onto. I'm just waiting for the base to get a little bit thicker so that I actually have something to graft onto. This one has died back. This one is also a seedling. This was never grafted, so I'm just gonna go ahead, cut this one, and let the new growth come in. This is one of our grafts that I think isn't really all that great. And the reason for that is because it's starting to turn black around where it's supposed to bud. This one, obviously it's not as well protected. It is still being allowed in the sunlight, which I said is a bad idea. You don't want it in the sun because it's just gonna make your grafts dry out a lot faster. But with it being cut and topped up here, I'm hoping that this avocado tree actually bushes out. And then next door, this is another one. This is actually my oldest seedling, and it's doing really good. Here's another one of our grafts that looks like it's doing okay for now. I'm still a little worried about it. Haven't seen any buds, but it does look like it may try to push some out pretty soon here. Another apple tree doing really good. Over here, this is an area where I've added 2 new white fences or trellising areas. And instead of going with the pots, I'm gonna go with those rectangular garden beds so that I can have bush beans and cucumbers and other stuff that's gonna actually utilize the fencing, the trellising, so it'll actually grow up. It's gonna be a lot better than trying to plant stuff in here and then trying to train it to go that way when I can just have a rectangle that's smaller that'll actually have it up against the trellis itself. Next to that, we do have our bell peppers. This one I overwintered and I just topped and scaffolded. And then over here, same thing with this bell pepper, which is crazy because I left this one on. This one obviously is pretty much peak ripeness, or just about, it's almost done. I just want to save this one for seed. But that plant itself is actually producing a ton of bell peppers. And this has been over like the last 2 months. So I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen with these guys. But they look like they're doing good. They're not diseased. There is a little bit of pest pressure. Obviously, all these leaves are getting eaten up, but they look really good. So that's very surprising. Underneath that, this is actually the rose bush, the rose plant. And I've started to trellis this guy. It's getting a little out of hand. It's kind of growing everywhere, but that's still exciting because I'm hoping that it will produce some flowers for me. And this is what we're gonna have to do with this side as well, is hopefully train that back over there so that it actually produces some flowers. And then down here, we have our broccoli. There are 2 broccoli in here. Like I said in the previous video, I wanna see which one was gonna perform better. It's a little competition between the 2, but you can see that again, these slugs are doing a hell of a lot of damage. So gonna have to figure out how to get rid of them. We do have the red Russian kale right here, doing good, pushing out new growth. Some more of our peppers. And then right here, this is the tulips, the Jerusalem tulips that I actually made a video on. And you can see they're starting to push up and push out. But again, the slugs like to eat that new green growth. So I'm just waiting for these guys to come up. I think I have about 12 or 11 tulips in here, so they're gonna do pretty good. We have some mint right here. This is just regular, I think lemon, or just regular mint, I forgot the name, but it's doing good. I buried a lot of the roots and the new shoots, and now it's starting to just come alive. And then here we have our other peach trees that are doing really good. These ones are also about a year old. These are all seedlings. And let me see if I can find it. They are also starting to push out some new growth. So just very exciting to see all that stuff come alive. And then here is our new addition. We have some blueberries. I don't really like to buy stuff from the big box stores. I like growing stuff from seed. But now that our collection is getting so big, we just don't have the time to really focus all our energy on seedlings. I'd like to actually get some fruit. So that's why I went ahead and just bought a blueberry tree, a little bush. And you can see that it has a ton of flowers already, producing some blueberries. So that'll be exciting to see. Next door, here are our older bay trees. These are about a year and a half old. And man, these leaves just smell amazing. I really enjoy the smell of bay, especially when you chop it up and you add it into a greenhouse as just a top row, or sorry, just as a covering on the ground, because as soon as you walk in the greenhouse, you can smell it. And it's just, I love how good it smells. Before we move on, I almost forgot to tell you guys, I got some grow bags. These are 10-gallon grow bags. I bought 12 of them, and I started to fill them with a potting soil. We are gonna have to make a garden run to go get some more potting soil. But over here, I have one of my cabbages doing really, really good. I am going to protect the heck out of this one because the last cabbages I grew got attacked by the cabbage worm, the butterflies. So we're gonna go ahead and actually put a net around that guy eventually, some kind of protective case, so that we get a good cabbage this year. This cabbage and this tomato I've had in the shade, and this has kind of just been a neglected pot. So I'm just trying to see if this will come back. Most likely I'll just use one of the new plants that I'm growing inside, and we'll change these guys out. And then next to that, we have our salad greens, which are going to bolt. So I will save some of these seeds from these so that we can utilize those later. And then right here, we have some more broccoli, also kind of in the same general area as this plant. So it was a little neglected, but hopefully with more sunlight and a little bit more water, this thing will come back as well. Next to the blueberry, I almost forgot to talk about the pomegranates. These guys are doing really good. They are coming out of dormancy and are putting out a ton of leaves. If I can show you that, there we go. You can see all along the main stem, new leaves, and I love the color of these leaves. It's like a vibrant green, yellow, and red, kind of similar to the avocados, but just another color that I really like to see. And we will probably try to move some of these guys around the garden just so that there's not so many pomegranates all in one container. Coming over to the orange tree, this is another one that I made a video on recently. The oranges on this guy taste amazing, super sweet. I don't know the variety. This was actually planted when we moved into this house, but I did make a video on how I added new compost. And like I said, this one also has a ton of nice, good green growth. A lot of stuff is pushing out right now. So we're gonna get a ton more fruit off this guy. I did top this in the summer, so that's why it's starting to bush out. So I just topped the branches and just removed a lot of the dead twigs and whatnot on this, and just try to make it as clean as possible. And then once I did that, then it just started putting out all these new shoots. So we'll get a ton more flowers this summer, and then another set of fruit for the winter and the fall. And then next door to that, we have our other peach tree. You guys saw me plant this guy in the ground. This one is super exciting because look at all these leaves. They're also pushing out along this bottom stem. And you can see this kind of like delayed effect where all the leaves are coming out on the bottom branches first, and then slowly but surely it'll get to the middle of the tree and then all the way to the top. So it is like a escalating flow of energy going to all these leaves. Moving on, compost pile, nothing new. You guys know we just flipped that around. And then this guy, the raised bed, so glad that I got this. As you know, we planted some of the flowers, our low cover and nasturtiums, our wildflowers as well. They're all in this front row. I went ahead and planted some ruby leaf lettuce and some Grand Rapids lettuce right here. We do have our potatoes, and then we have our beans, our cowpeas in the back so that they can actually trellis up the fence. And then I finally went ahead and actually put our fig tree in the ground. There he is right there. He's not looking all that great. I just put him in the ground today. I've had him inside, but one of the leaves does look like it may fall off. So I'm just waiting to see how that's gonna do. Moving on, this is kind of like the garden flower bed, I guess you could say. We do need to just rework this and move a lot of stuff, but we have our nasturtium, and then we have the dahlias. Our tulips, which are really exciting, are actually pushing through. You can see this one is pretty much almost ready to bloom. So these guys are doing very good. I forgot which ones these are. And then we have more dahlias. Again, with the slugs, I try to take the best precautions possible. This one had some green growth pushing through, and then I noticed slugs were chewing on that, so I just put a glass on the top of this guy. All right, the last thing to talk about in the flower garden bed area is the pear tree. As you can see, the trunk of this tree is pretty damaged. And it's just falling apart. So as this tree continues to grow with all these branches coming towards me, all the weight of those pears and whatnot, it's going to snap off, it's going to break. We can't really repair this. We can brace it and support it, but it's really not the best. So we've let this side shoot on this right side continue to grow to be the adult tree once this one falls apart. I've also taken measures by air layering a lot of these branches right here. And so what I did is I went ahead and cut back some of the bark, and then I put some rooting hormone, and then inside here I have some plastic water bottles with some soil around that part of the branch that I cut, and I put the rooting hormone, so that hopefully by the spring when all this stuff wakes up and it starts to put out some leaves, it'll also put out some roots in that soil, and then we can come underneath here and then remove it from the tree, and then we'll have pretty much some mature cuttings off of this pear tree, just in case this younger one doesn't make it, and just in case if this breaks. But that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment on what you're growing in your garden and what you're most excited for this spring, and I will catch you guys in the next video.